there's a lot of reason for optimism here in the United States, with the Trump administration winning the election. We have yet to see if the House will be Republican controlled. It's looking that way, which would eliminate the deadlock, if you will, in terms of his policies. For me, Anthony, what I find optimistic, or for reason for optimism rather, with the Trump win, is less what he will be able to do with the economy and with the markets and with the dollar, and more with what he hopefully can do to start to restore our culture, which in many ways has been whitewashed over the last several years, starting with things like censorship, cancel culture, wokeness, where you're defined or admitted into a good school or admitted into a good job based upon your merit, what you've achieved, how you get along with people, how successful you were along your way in terms of education and in terms of, civic, doing things outside of volunteering, let's say, all these kind of things that would go into what would make a good candidate for a job. Are you a good person? Do you work hard? Are you on time? Are you punctual? All of those things are sidestepped rather by what's your lifestyle, race, religion, creed, all of these things that have somewhat distorted the American ideals, the electoral system. Maybe we've gained a little bit of credibility back into it, the judicial system, the FBI, the immigration system. All of these things are upside down. And whether or not people watching this agree, many people around the world and in this country do believe those things are upside down. This has created a good deal of divisiveness in this country, where you're defined by who you voted for the last election. These are times that are very foreign to many of us in this country who grew up under a different set of ideals. I think that's what he brings to the table, the ability to start to go back to what it has always meant to be proud to be an American, why people have always wanted to come here and take part in the United States, for freedom of expression, for a justice department, or justice system rather, that looks at everyone the same way. You're always innocent until proven guilty. There is no two-tiered status or standard for justice, for the things that made this country special. And in many cases, people look around and say, what the hell's happened to this country? Those are the things, whether or not I'm able to completely articulate it the way I'd like to, I could just simply say to you that things are very different in this country now, and I'd like to get back to the way at least they used to be, from a cultural standpoint, from a standpoint of being proud to be an American. And I think there are a lot of patriots here, and I say that I'm one of them. Look, I'm the least likely person to have ever achieved the level of success that I have. I thank God every day for being born in this country, and I outworked people. Where you can achieve whatever you want through hard work and effort and doing things the right way. That's the American dream, and I'm emblematic of it. I come from nothing, and somehow over 35 years we've crossed 10 billion in sales, and I did it with, I guess you would say, the only thing I had going for me were these ideals, were the opportunities that this country provided me. And I think I thank God every day for it. But I think that's been the most disappointing thing to me over the last several years, less the mismanagement of the world reserve currency, less the brain dead monetary policy and the fiscal irresponsibility, and more so all of the things that have kind of gone sideways in this country from the ideals that it was founded upon. So that's what I'm most excited for with the Trump administration. As far as the economics are concerned, we have a long way to go. Inflation is not going anywhere. You have a Fed that is pivoting lowering rates. Today, they're going to probably lower rates 25 basis points. Here today is the FOMC meeting. They already lowered them 50 basis points. And this is when they were 65% away from their target rate of 2%. If we believe the nonsense that comes out of the BLS, I think you should just take the L out of the BLS and call it the BS. Because, they're telling us inflation's at 3.5%, roughly. John Williams of Shadow Stats, who just measures it the way it used to be before they continually change the metrics that go into the measurement in order to make to create this inflationary or to conform to an inflationary reality. He'll tell you that inflation's 11%. For all those people out there that say, geez, they tell us inflation's only 3%, but it really doesn't seem that. Whether it be inflation or whether it be unemployment, the numbers that come out of the BLS are really not accurate. You look, for example, at the way that things are framed in this country with like unemployment. Last month, they tell us that only 12,000 jobs are created, and there were supposed to be 120,000. It's a horrible labor report. But what they don't tell us is that 28,000 private sector jobs were lost. At the same time, 40,000 government jobs were added. These are jobs that the government can't even afford. They have to borrow money to pay the salaries. And you go back to the last labor report and you see over 700,000 government jobs added to the payroll. This is a non-productive payroll report. This is a non-productive way of hiring people into the government instead of the private sector. The private sector is shedding jobs. The government is adding jobs. The government doesn't contribute to the economy. The government doesn't have profit motive. The government jobs added should not be what we are focusing on when they tell us we have a strong employment number. So there are a lot of things that this administration needs to tackle. But even if Elon Musk were to come in and trim all the fat, and get rid of all of this wasteful spending, the Congressional Budget Office, Anthony, tells us that by 2030, all of the income tax that comes in, 100% of it will be used just to pay the interest on the debt and mandatory entitlement spending. So, how does a country want to remain being the world superpower, militarily and economically, when 100% of tax revenue goes to pay just the interest on the debt, when things like military spending is discretional? All of the discretional spending would have to be borrowed. And so this is a mathematical situation right now. So I guess what I'm really trying to say in a very disjointed, roundabout way is that there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. And that optimism centers around coming back and coming full circle and gaining some sanity after 4 years of this crazy wokeness, cancel culture, censorship, all of the things, the questions, as I mentioned, on the judicial system, the electoral system, the lawlessness in the cities, all of these things that need to be fixed. We have to fix this first. Then we can tackle the financial side of things. So yes, there is reasons to be optimistic, but I think we should be very cautiously optimistic because inflation isn't going anywhere. Even if they balance the budget 100% today, who's going to pay for the 99 trillion shortfall in Medicare Part B, 22 trillion Medicare Part D, 77 trillion in Social Security? These numbers are off the charts. And we're making a big assumption that the government can indeed stop their spending. You have to start by reining in spending. And as much as I am thankful that Trump won his last administration, the debt increased tremendously underneath him. So you have to start by stopping spending, trimming the fat, cutting back. And it's very difficult to do that, even if they sweep the House, which hopefully they do, and policies will go through instead of being deadlocked. And it looks like they will. It's very difficult to tell the constituents that, no, we have to cut this, we have to cut that, we have to cut this. Some politician has to do it, but it's not going to be easy. Reason for optimism, yes, but not going to be easy in terms of what the remedy is. So I think I'd rather focus today on being optimistic, on being, because I've been pessimistic for 4 years, and it gets old always being pessimist. So I'm very thankful that we have someone, hopefully, that can get America back to what America always was. But there's a long way to go to tackle the damage that has been done by the massive fiscal and monetary irresponsibility, and it's not going to be easy, especially when you have a Fed lowering rates, which is only going to reignite inflation, and it's here to stay. So I think that's where we start, at least, and get our house in order, and then we can tackle the financial side of things.